Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Thanks a lot, Edna and Otieno, plus the Live Your Dream fraternity for inviting me here to be able to speak on this day on M&E. Increasingly, monitoring and evaluation has begun to gain a lot of traction and interest, not only at individual level, but also at corporate level. And so at this chance, you'll allow me just to share my screen so that then I can be able to walk you through a PowerPoint that will be able to allow you to appreciate some of these contents. So just a minute, I think I can share my screen also. I hope you can now see me on video. So I'm not out there, it's Rohin speaking, and I'm happy to be able to share with you these contents. So largely, I would say the development space is changing. And when I was invited to be able to give you the energy to be able to drive your focus this week, I thought about how best do we bring together monitoring and evaluation, which is very much technical, into a space where we now begin to utilize it at personal level and at an individual level. And so the next 30 minutes will be spent largely just thinking together, but also appreciating how monitoring and evaluation can be of value to you and also to ourselves as we build on the different components. So at this stage, we'll be able to cover some key aspects, an introduction to what monitoring and evaluation is. I'll also speak briefly on how to design effective monitoring and evaluation systems, thinking of it at the level of organizations and in businesses and also at an individual level. And then I'll speak briefly about M&E monitoring and evaluation indicators and the strategies for effective monitoring and evaluation, and then how we can leverage technology to be able to help us conduct monitoring and evaluation at different levels, whether it is at home, whether it is in your life, or whether it is in your organization or in your business, and you are keen on tracking results as you move towards implementation. And so there are many things that have been said about monitoring and evaluation. Part of that includes the thought around what monitoring is and what evaluation is. Those two are relatives. One is a brother, the other is a sister, or one is a cousin to the other. They go together because when you think about monitoring, monitoring in terms of its purpose is to ensure that you are able to track inputs, the things that go in before you begin to implement an activity. Let's say, for example, you want to build a house today. Yeah, so in terms of purpose, monitoring and evaluation is about ensuring that we track inputs, we track activities, we are able to track progress towards achieving outcomes and impact. So let's say I was giving an example of Nancy wants to build a house, and she's given a very good poem this morning. The first key things she'll have to consider before building is, do we have all resources available in the compound? Do we have sand? Do we have soil? Do we have water? Do we have cement? Do we have all those key ingredients that are necessary to start building? And that is the starting point of monitoring, because it requires that you know the inputs that are needed for you to be able to begin implementing. So it informs knowing that you're able to account for all inputs that are required. Now, before you begin then building, you then have to see, do I have all the inputs, and can I then organize them into a process that allows me to start building? Now, building then becomes the activity, so that every other day, Nancy will be tracking to see, are the fundis already doing the foundation? Where are we with the walling? Where are we with the roofing? Where are we with the plastering? Where are we with the wiring? That becomes the activity of building. That then becomes a function of monitoring, such that Nancy will be coming on site every so often to see progress on the construction. On the other hand, in terms of purpose, evaluation is about setting very systematic processes of assessing the merits and the worth of that plan, so that you don't have to come every day to do an evaluation. You might only just say, I will come on site to check, one, whether all the inputs are on site, and then I'll disappear for a month, and then I'll come again after a month to see whether the foundation was done as per planned, and then I'll come after 3 months to check whether we've reached the lintel and we are ready now for roofing, and then I'll come back for roofing, and then come back when we are now doing the final conclusion and the completion of the building. So evaluations on this side then are much more systematic, and they are much more an assessment of the core milestones in the process and in the activities that are being implemented. Monitoring on one hand is the daily routine, but evaluation on the other hand, is about tracking systematic step-gate changes. In terms of frequency, just like I've mentioned, monitoring focuses on the regular ongoing activities, whereas evaluation focuses on the one-off events. So you don't have to go to your site every day. You can even just visit your site 5 times and you still know you have a home that you can go into. Whereas monitoring will be those calls you'll keep telling the fundi, have you received this? How far are you with this? How far are you with that? How well have you composed? And to what extent have you completed the house? Then in terms of responsibility, monitoring is about, it's conducted by everyone. Anyone on site during the construction can be doing the monitoring on your behalf. Your plumber can call you today and tell you, oh, I observed that we still have no pipes for us to do the fitting. Or the electrician will call you and tell you, boss or madam, we've already done the wiring and this is how your house is lighting. And that can be a process of monitoring. Whereas in terms of evaluation, it involves an activity that is externally driven. So in terms of an evaluation, it could be the engineer who comes to do the evaluation, or the quantity surveyor, or the architect who comes in every so often to just check and see whether the key progress has been made. So there's normally an external party coming in to give that independent view. But ideally, at the tail end, both monitoring and evaluation informs decision making so that you can know whether you're making progress in the right direction or not making progress in the right direction. When you're locked towards going and completing your house within 1 year, you'll every other month check whether you're moving based on the milestones towards the 12th month to be able to be sure that in the 12th month you'll be settling in your new home. And so it basically means if at all there's anything that needs to be changed mid-year because you realize there's a problem either on site or there's a problem with the materials, then you'll make the change so that then you can make best decisions to make corrective action as you adapt in terms of your plan. And that is how monitoring and evaluation converges. And so someone will wonder, why are we waking up on a Monday to discuss monitoring and evaluation? Yet I am a business person, or I'm just a professional who is doing my day-to-day work. Just like I mentioned, monitoring is that ongoing process. And so cumulatively, you'll keep assessing progress. And evaluation is that systematic process. But at an individual level, all of us have our own goals. All of us have our own personal vision and dreams. And it's a good thing that we're talking about living our dreams. So how do you know whether you're going to really achieve your dream if you don't have a process of tracking and the achievements as you drive towards your dream? And so in terms of monitoring at a personal level, monitoring allows you to track progress towards your goals, allowing you the time to be able to adjust so that you can achieve your success. So let's say you want to say, in the next 10 years, I want to be a successful business in the area of petroleum, or in the area of beauty products. Someone will ask you, so what are you doing today to make you that successful business person? You'll need to set up goals, either annual goals, you'll either set up 5-year goals before you hit the decade of the success that you want to hit. So monitoring and evaluation will allow you to come up with goals and to track your achievements around those goals. Besides that, it will help you to be self-aware so that then if at all you are running or you want to check whether you are ready for that kind of engagement, you'll keep getting feedback from people who know where you are headed towards, and they'll be telling you, no, Susan, you're supposed to be driving towards becoming a good business person. Why are you involved in this and that? So that feedback will help you then to be able to identify areas of improvement, to promote self-awareness, but also to lead personal growth and development. The other key thing is when you are locked on a goal and you're headed towards the destination, time management becomes very important. And so M&E here allows you to be able to track your time, to be able to prioritize tasks, and also to eliminate unproductive activities so that everything is linked to the end in mind, so that you have the end in mind that is very clear, and then you work backwards to be able to achieve that goal. Besides that, monitoring and evaluation at a personal level is core because it allows you to be motivated and to be accountable to yourself. You have made gains, you have made goals, but you have to make subsequent small goals so that you can have small wins as you drive towards the bigger major win. And so the small progress that you keep making will make you highly motivated so that then you can be able to hold yourself accountable as you build onto the smaller goals towards the bigger vision and the bigger goal. Of course, like I mentioned, decision-making is core because of the data, the feedback, the evidence you gather in the process of implementing your goal, you are able then to inform, to come up with good decisions because you now know what is working, what is not working. And at the same time, it allows you to allow yourself to allocate resources in the right places as you drive towards your goal and your vision. At a business level or at a corporate level, organizational level, monitoring and evaluation plays multiple reasons. Its importance cannot be understated. One is because of performance assessment, being able to assess your business performance in terms of sales, in terms of marketing, in terms of customer base. Are you driving and are you making the change that you wanted to make at that level in terms of performance? Of course, strategic planning. At the core of strategic planning is monitoring and evaluation, because within strategic planning, operational planning, and business planning is where you then come up with strategies which align to your business goals, and then you assess them against your trends and against the customer preferences as you move along, because they'll give you feedback on the process. That then becomes another key role of monitoring and evaluation. The other one is risk management. Key performance indicators are part and parcel of monitoring and evaluation. When you come up with very clear indicators of growth and success, you can then also be able to contain yourself in terms of the key risks that will affect your business or that will affect you from being able to achieve those goals or those indicators that you've set. So it allows you to be able then to monitor the key performance indicators. And I'll be speaking briefly at some point in terms of what key performance indicators are and how you can begin to design effective key performance indicators. The other key aspect is customer satisfaction, because you keep receiving feedback on terms of your goods, your products, your services. It will help you then adjust and improve your customer service, and then finally help you to be able to create loyal customers who come back to you because you address their specific needs based on the data, the feedback that you receive. Most of you have gone to hotels, and after eating, they'll ask you, tell us your feedback about the food, about the service, about the space that you ate in, and then you'll be able to give feedback. Most of us don't give feedback, but that kind of feedback is helpful because it allows the hotel to come up with product services that address your needs much more meaningfully. Resource efficiency, of course, is another key area. You know where money is needed, money is limited, but you need to know where to put your money, because it ideally at the end of the day allows you to utilize the limited resources without waste to increase business efficiency based on evidence of what is working, what is not working. Investors will always want to ask you, so how do we know we should invest in you as a person or even as a business? The only way to make them invest in you is to prove to them through data or through evidence that you did indeed able to demonstrate impact, to demonstrate viability based on evidence, which then showcases your ability to use evidence for decision making, and of course to reduce uncertainty in the process of implementing. Besides that, there's compliance and reporting, there's innovation and adaptation, but also competitive advantage, where businesses that are much more M&E survey, they understand their businesses, they understand their environment, they understand their context, are able to be much more agile and competitive in a space where people have to know what is working, what is not working, as they adapt in terms of their marketing strategy, their customer product, and so on and so forth. And so broadly speaking, monitoring and evaluation has gained that interest because the resources are continuously shrinking. We can never have more than sufficient resources. We are always limited resources. And so the question will be to ask yourself, how can I continue to be relevant and to produce what I need to produce to have sustained demand in the process where there's no much resources to be able to provide the services that to provide. And therefore, monitoring and evaluation provides you the ability to be able to provide better results, because you know, based on the evidence that you're collecting, that you are able to improve lives, you're able to change the products based on evidence, and then to improve and adapt incrementally. But in terms of the other key aspect, it allows you to be able to increase your efficiency, your accountability for results, but also to use evidence to be able then to support reporting. In the business world, you can never just report based on your feelings or your observations. You have to collect data from the people you're supporting so that then it can inform the donor or the funder or the investor in your business to be able then to continue to invest in your goals and in your aspirations and in your strategy. And so linked to that, there are many key things that happen. Just like I gave an example of inputs. Before you begin a construction, you have to have all the key resources. And before you then begin to construct, the process of constructing, which is the activity, you need to be able then to know what will you be constructing at the end of the day. And so monitoring and evaluation allows you to begin the planning process with the end in mind. You ask yourself, what is the long-term vision that I want to drive towards? And so, for example, if I give an example of having a healthy person, let me just pick a name from this group here. Let's say the goal is to ensure that Josephat is healthy in the next 5 years. There are many things that can happen to make Josephat to be healthy in the next 5 years. One could be nutrition. The other thing could be exercise. The other thing could be economic well-being. His income will help him to be healthy. The other thing will be social perspectives in terms of his relationships. They need to be healthy so that he can be healthy. But finally, also spiritually, he needs to be healthy. But you see, in the context of projects, you don't get projects that address all the multidimensional aspects that make a person healthy. So if you pick one, for example, we are picking one project that will make Josephat healthy through increasing his nutritional input, let's say food and nutrition as the goal. So the goal in 5 years is to make sure that Josephat is healthy. So we will ask ourselves today, what is it that Jonathan is lacking as we start to help him become healthy in the next 5 years? So the key inputs in terms of nutrition will be making sure he has a balanced diet every day, making sure that the food meets all his dietary requirements, making sure that at the process of eating, he's also able to at least exercise as he builds towards being healthy. And then, of course, giving him supplements to ensure that his immunity is boosted as he grows towards being healthy. So the activity that Jonathan will be involved in, as we have the inputs of nutrition, exercise, and so on, will be ensuring that Jonathan, one, eats nutritious food every day, but on the other side, he's always exercising. So we'll be checking whether, one, he's eating nutritious food, ticking off that box, and then every other day asking him, how many times this week did you go to the gym as you build your physical fitness? The output of that, within 1 year or within 6 months, we'll already begin to see Jonathan is smiling much more. He is expanding. He's beginning to have much more muscle and much more mass in his body as an immediate result of consistently eating healthily and also exercising. Overall, as an outcome, Jonathan will become happier. He'll be able to engage much more meaningfully in society. And at the end of the program, we'll then say in 3-4 years, Jonathan is indeed healthy. But the process has to start from activities and inputs as you build towards the outcome. And that's why I'm connecting with how do we ensure that Jonathan is healthy? What do we want to see in terms of the key results, immediate results, and why is it important that he is healthy at the end of the day? So Josephat will be healthy if we put in those key activities as we achieve those key outcomes. And if outcomes are achieved, then the impact will be achieved. And so if inputs are available and activities are conducted, then outputs will be achieved. And if outputs are achieved, then outcomes will be achieved. If outcomes are achieved, then the impact will also be realized. And of course, within that, there are all those risks and assumptions that we assume that he will also be ensuring that his social setup is conducive, his spiritual setup is conducive, his income is conducive to allow him to be finally healthy as he moves towards those. And so in our life, we have those things that we control. We have those things that we can influence, and we have those things that we're interested in. If you remember the prayer of serenity, it says, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The things you cannot change are the things that are within your interest, but you cannot control. And then to say the things you can control are the things that you can actually work on to improve yourself on. And so in life, and also in terms of personal growth, there are things that we can control. A student who is in school can control the time when they wake up, the time when they sleep, the number of hours they spend in studying, the number of hours they spend in sports, but they cannot influence how the exam will be set. The exam will be set independently by someone out there. But as a result of spending their time in the sphere of control much more meaningfully, then they can be able to influence their results. And overall, the sphere of interest in terms of them succeeding will be achieved. So that is how life works. And in terms of monitoring and evaluation, as we come up with plans, we first contain the things that you can control so that effectively you manage the time, you manage the product, you manage the key activities that go in with the hope that you'll be able to influence change in your space. You can produce good products, but will it necessarily create a change in the lives of the people who buy it? it will depend on many things. You can influence the change by providing good products, but you might not necessarily be the one to cause the change that will happen. Because even if you create a good product, but the users don't use it effectively, they'll still not be able to optimize on it fully. And so that is the connection between the things we can control, the things we can influence, and the things that we are interested in. And so the things we can control include the activities, the inputs, the short-term results that we are able to achieve. Like, for example, today, you want to live your dreams, but you've decided to join this discussion. It is something in your control. It will build towards that strategic view, your strategic opinion about growth and success, because now you'll be able to understand what to do, how to do it, and how to allocate time as you build towards your dreams. So the activities and the inputs are within our control. The immediate results, the intermediate results, and the outcomes are within the sphere of influence, and then the longer term impacts of making sure that Josephat is healthy will be within our interest, hoping that he'll be able also to bring on board all these other aspects that are important, so that then as he takes up the nutrition and the exercises, at the end of the day, he'll also maintain a physical balance, an environmental balance, an economic balance that allows him at the end of the day to be healthy. Because even if we give him nutrition and we give him the health inputs that are needed, including exercises, but he still engages in, let's say, bad habits, maybe drug abuse and so on, at the end of the day, he'll still not be healthy. So we have to control for these other aspects that are important for him to be able to thrive. And so there are those levels of results that we can control, those that we can influence, and those that we're interested in. And so in terms of monitoring and evaluation, you'll always have to start with a plan. And I'm happy that someone mentioned, I think it was Nancy, that she's a strategic planner. It starts with planning, coming up with very clear project designs. And our life is a project. We only have but 70 years to live. If you live to 100, you are really blessed. And so if you live your life as a project, then you'll need to know what to do today, so that at the end of the project, you really achieve your dreams and achieve your goals. So it starts with the project design, where you come up with much more succinct, logical frameworks, theories of change, and results framework. Maybe at some time when I get another invitation, I'll go deeper into the aspects of the science of monitoring and evaluation. But then after you come up with a plan, you then go into a process of monitoring the plan and making sure that you collect data around whether you are achieving what you planned for and not achieving. And that becomes the process of monitoring. Then you go into evaluations, where you now begin to test assumptions. I assumed that if we provide health products and nutrition and exercise, Josephat will be able to become healthy. But did we test the assumption that he is also engaging in good social environment, good friends, allowing him to grow spiritually? Those are all assumptions, because they're not within the control of our project. So we'll be able to test the assumptions, the risks, to check whether indeed the program is relevant, is effective, is efficient, is impactful to help him become the healthy person. Then the other key M&E practice that is linked to that is ensuring that you are accountable to results, so that you can be able to say, I am building the house that you asked me to build. Here is the plan versus this is what I'm constructing. And so every other time when you are the owner of the compound, you'll be comparing the plan, what was in the architectural blueprint, but versus what is being constructed on site. So that then you can hold the engineer accountable, you can hold the architect accountable, you can hold the fundis accountable as they continue to build your house towards the completion. So you'll be able to track results and achievements against the milestones. But besides that, sometimes you start building a house and you realize, oh, I thought I would have wanted a flat roof. But you discover, oh, I'm losing a lot of water. How about I change the roof? Because now I know if I put a flat roof, I'll not be able to contain much more water. So you'll adapt in the process. And then you'll say, instead of a flat roof, I'll want a guttered roof, so that it can allow me to absorb much more water, store water in my tanks to help me improve. So monitoring and evaluation also allows you to learn what is working, what is not working, and then you adapt in your plan as you continue to implement your program. And of course, this is driven by data. It's driven by evidence, and it's driven by the focus on results. Very clear targets, very clear indicators, very clear metrics and milestones that help you drive towards the goals that you need to drive. I'm moving fast because I know we have limited time. We should be almost completing. But at the core of monitoring and evaluation is the process of 3 management practices that are core. You cannot do effective monitoring and evaluation if you do not have a results lens. You have to start with the end in mind, then work backwards. So a results-based management component is core. Evidence-based decision-making is also core to allow you to be able to make decisions that are backed by data, backed by information, backed by feedback as you adapt your product. But besides that, as you continue to drive towards results-based management, evidence-based decision-making, you also need a knowledge and information management system where you learn as a self. It's most of the time, it's unfortunate that most of us experience difficulty or experience success in our lives, but we don't sit back to ask ourselves, if I was given a chance to do this differently, what will I have done differently? That becomes a question in monitoring and evaluation. Knowing what you'll have done differently means you are learning and you're beginning to increase your knowledge in terms of what is working, what is not working. So it requires that at the end of the day, you absorb and create 3 core management practices: results-based management, evidence management, and also knowledge-based information management systems to be able to learn and improve in terms of what you do. And so a good M&E system or a good M&E process will require that to set up very clear objectives and indicators. They need to be SMART. I know you've heard of SMART, but besides that, they also need to be clear. I'll talk about having clear indicators. But besides that, you need to collect data routinely. Part of the key practices in monitoring and evaluation is collecting data through surveys, through interviews, through focus group discussions, through observations. These are much more scientific processes that require much more time for me to speak to, but they're some of the key aspects that you use in terms of data collection. When we get another opportunity, I'll be able maybe to speak through what a baseline evaluation is, an endline evaluation is, how do you do set up a focus group discussion in the setup of monitoring evaluation and so on. But besides that, there's also data analysis. You have to be good in analysis to be able to mix quantitative data, qualitative data to make meaning as you inform your decisions and as you inform your results in the process of implementing. But besides that, there's the process of reporting and feedback mechanisms that allows you to tailor your reports, your feedback, your dashboards into good presentation so that people can understand the results, the impact that you're making, either in your business or also in your personal life. And so indicators vary. There are many types of indicators, but the key marker will be, if today we decided to go to Mombasa as a destination from Nairobi, how will we know we are going to Mombasa and not to Kisumu or to Nakuru? The key thing will be to ask ourselves, are there, for example, landmark markers that will tell us we are headed to Mombasa from Nairobi? One key thing you will track in the road is, are you able to see at some point a road written Mombasa Road? If you're not on Mombasa Road, then you'll ask yourself, am I headed to Mombasa? The next thing will be asking yourself, have I reached a place where I'm beginning to see baobab trees, headed towards Machakos, headed towards a drier place? If you're moving towards a place that is much more green, you'll be asking yourself, am I headed to Mombasa? Because if you see Lake Nakuru on your way to Mombasa from Nairobi, you'll be asking yourself, oh my goodness, am I headed to the right destination? So if you see a place called Machakos and there's baobab trees, and then you move towards some place where there are animals and you're crossing over and you're seeing some zebras and you're crossing and you're seeing elephants, you know you're moving towards Tsavo. Then at some point when you see coconut trees and you're approaching, before you even see the ocean, you will know, indeed, I'm headed towards Mombasa. Then you'll see the ocean at some point and you'll say, wow, I'm actually in the coast of Kenya, headed towards the right direction. So indicators help you know whether you are locked into the right direction and in the right speed towards the destination that you have decided. And so there are many indicators that you can use. I'll not speak about them, but they vary at different levels at some point when you get opportunity. But I'll share this with Otieno. He'll be able to share this with you so that you really look. But all these are types of indicators: outcome indicators, indirect indicators, qualitative indicators, depending on the data, quality of data, input indicators, depending on the budget and the resources that you are using, and so on and so forth. But as I come to a close, indicators, besides being SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, result, realistic, and time-bound, even as you come up with your own individual plans, they need to be clear. They need to be precise and unambiguous, very relevant also, appropriate to your goal, economic. Sometimes some of us create very ambitious targets, which we cannot achieve with any kind of resource, not unless you're a billionaire. And so you need to be able to come up with very clear targets, goals, and indicators that you are able to adequately achieve within reasonable cost, but they are also adequate and you can also be able to monitor. You have to come up with very clear indicators that you can monitor and track as you remain accountable to yourselves. Because if you say you want to set up a goal, but the indicator is not, you cannot be able to know whether you're achieving it or not, then you'll not be able to move forward. And so the key aspects in terms of M&E, ensure you focus on results, If at all you are at a business corporate level, let it not be an individual decision. Let involve much stakeholders. When you want to go far, involve as many people as you want in your space to be able to grow far, so that you can ensure that all stakeholders that we're working with are able to help you achieve your expected results. And of course, invest in your own capacity building in terms of monitoring evaluation. And this is a good starting point where we're reflecting on monitoring evaluation just as a concept, but there are detailed, more technical aspects to cover in this area. But of course, the other key thing is robust data collection approaches, very clear qualitative, quantitative approaches to data collection, so that you can mix information and make very clear feedback on decisions. So if I ask you, for example, how clear is the room where you are in? How bright is it? You can give me qualitative feedback. You'll tell me, I think, I feel, I observe. But if I can tell you a question quantitatively, scale from 0 to 1, how bright is your room? You'll just say 5 meaning very bright, 1 meaning not bright. So you'll not give me more qualitative information. So you need to mix both so that you can quantify and qualify, so that then you can make much more robust information, because you now even know why they're scaling it at 5 and so on. Did you know that if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it? And if you cannot manage it, you cannot improve it. So that is the basis of M&E, so that then at the end of the day, you start by knowing, if I want to succeed, what do I need to do to succeed? How do I manage the process of succeeding? And how can I measure my success? So you cannot be successful. You cannot live your dreams. You cannot be able to achieve your goals if you cannot measure your goals, if you cannot measure your milestones, if you cannot measure your activities. That is the role of monitoring and evaluation. So if you can't measure it, if you can't manage it, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And if you can't manage it, you cannot achieve it. You cannot improve it. That is the goal of monitoring and evaluation. And so in M&E, you can utilize different technologies. In data collection, there are different mobile application apps that you can use, the likes of Kobo Collect, the likes of ODK, the likes of SurveyMonkey, which are easier and user-friendly to use. There are online surveys that you can use. There are databases that you can create using Excel. There are also visualizations, charts, and maps that you can also develop through Excel, through Power BI, and many other tools that you can use. But at some point, when you get a chance again, we'll go deeper into this. What I've just done is to scratch the surface of monitoring and evaluation. There's so much science, there's so much art in it, but at the end of the day, it needs you to be able to begin to put it in place at a personal level and also at a corporate level as you build towards your goal. And you need to be able to manage your goal, and you need to be able to measure your goal. That becomes the crux of monitoring evaluation. I've taken exactly 30 minutes. I'd like to pass it over to you, Otieno, for any questions as we move forward. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rohin. Yes, it's quite enlightening. I'm just looking at it, and these are big words that people use. They throw them around, and many of us think of monitoring and evaluation only comes when I'm running maybe some multinational project. Yes, I'm funded by NGO and they want a report. But I was just imagining from January to date, have we been doing some monitoring and evaluation, and which direction are we going? So in your understanding, do you think this is why people no longer set goals, or they feel like we do resolutions, we do goals, but nothing happens? So there is no much reason for it.
Absolutely. Good point, Otieno. Indeed, most of the times we spend the first week of January and the last week of December coming up with the resolutions, and we are very ambitious, very, very ambitious. The question will be, as we set up our ambitions, are the goals and the resolutions very clear? Are they precise, so that you are saying by the end of the year, I need to have done this, this, and that, and you can be able to clearly define that goal. And it doesn't have to be too much ambitious, but it needs to be very clear. Is it relevant and linked to the things that you want to achieve? And is it something that you can economically achieve and make it something that you can monitor? And I indeed agree with you, Otieno. Most of the times, resolutions are set, but they don't meet these criteria. They are not smart, and neither are they clear. And that's why by the mid-year, towards the end of the year, you cannot even go back. Most of us even did not possibly come up with indicators to then track progress. We just came up with the goal or the target, but we never set the indicators. So it's a key starting point will be developing indicators, so that when I'm headed to Mombasa from Nairobi, I should not be going towards Nakuru. I should be going towards Mombasa. And these are the markers. These are the indicators. This is how I will know I'm achieving my progress by the end of Q1, Q2, Q3, towards the end of the year. So I agree with you. We need to set up clear goals. Not only at a personal level, but even at a country level. When we come up with manifestos and the government comes in and we now have to drive progress, how many times do we remain accountable to the results that were promised, so that then we drive towards the results and not just the activities? Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is very enlightening. Yes, one of us, Faria, is asking, how do you measure an unforeseen outcome? How do you measure an unforeseen outcome?
Excellent. That's a very good question, Faria. In evaluation, you remember when I talked about indicators? There are those things we call direct indicators and indirect indicators. And sometimes, in terms of results, we have those things we call intended results and unintended results. So we might be saying we want to make Josephat, back to my example, we want to make Josephat healthy through a nutrition project, or through exercise and fitness project. Then we realize that Josephat only took in the nutrition and did not exercise. He only took food and did not exercise. What we will achieve will not be a healthy Josephat. It will actually be an unhealthy Josephat, because if he only eats without exercising, the risk of him being obese is very high. So those are the unintended results. So the idea will be set up again indicators that track results and against risks. So there's a need to come up with a risk register, a risk matrix, where you constantly appraise your risks, so that then as you continue implementing, you are checking against the risks that could affect the overall goal. So if I told you you are tracking the project of making sure that Josephat is healthy at the end of the day, you'll be able to check that at some point his weight has exceeded what you had targeted as a goal. And so you'll be saying, Josephat, but you can see you are eating, yes, but you're not, your weight has exceeded the weight. So what do? We need to inject exercises, so that then at the end of the day, you counteract the effect of overeating. So that is how you track results. There are aspects of coming up with a risk register, a risk management framework, where you constantly appraise your assumptions and your risks, so that at the end of the day, you arrest the risk before it happens. And any assumption that you make at the start of a program, when it becomes true, when the assumptions become true, it is indeed a risk. So you need to constantly monitor risks at the same time as you monitor indicators. Yeah, that's the answer I'll give.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Faria. I hope you got that. Yes, there is a question from Dr. Melvin. Thanks for a wonderful presentation. Do you have a best example of each of the following? One, a small business in Kenya which uses M&E successfully towards achieving their goals. Two, a circle which uses M&E successfully towards achieving their goals. That is SME and circle in Kenya.
Absolutely. That's a good question. I might not be able to give the exact name of the business. Of course, we are operating under the GDPR rules, and it may identify someone and so on. But I've been in the SME M&E space for a while now. Since 2019, I've been supporting in terms of monitoring and evaluation for SMEs, building their capacity in terms of building up M&E systems, and at the same time, strategic planning and so on, and business planning and ensuring they have capacity. And I can attest that there are various SMEs that are adopting monitoring and evaluation practices to inform their business improvements and to inform their business practices. Any SME in your space that has a business plan that can be measured, monitored, and tracked in terms of its activities, its outputs, and its results already is embracing monitoring and evaluation. They may not necessarily have a monitoring and evaluation expert within the business, but if they're applying evidence in informing their decisions at customer level, at design of product level, and at reporting level in terms of their own shareholders within it, they're already practicing monitoring and evaluation. There are hundreds of businesses that are applying these mechanisms. If we get a chance at some point, I'll just be able to showcase to you some of the projects that I've supported in the past, funded by MasterCard Foundation, targeting SMEs who are using already M&E processes. USAID itself has also supported this. There's also a Gideas Foundation, and I recently just released a report on the BDS, the Business Development Support Landscape, that is happening in the country. And within that, we are flagging and seeing how SMEs are beginning to take up evidence decision-making and monitoring evaluation in their practices. So there are many businesses that are using this. I'll not specify which one, of course, not to disclose them. But the idea is that indeed, I can attest that over the last 4 years, I've seen businesses engaging in this. But it can be a conversation we can have as a follow-on, where I give you success stories and best practices at that level. I didn't prepare with that, but indeed, there are those that are happening, and they're using M&E every other day.
That's very good to hear and encouraging. If you think you are too small, you are not supposed to use it, even an individual uses it. Great. Now, next question from Asunta. For someone thinking about doing an M&E professional certificate, it says in parentheses, it takes three months. For career progression, is it enough to steer one into the right path to even get career opportunities in M&E?
Yeah, I think that's a good question from Asunta. Like every other profession, there are certain standards that you have to abide by. A certification will be an entry point. A certification allows you to grasp the monitoring and evaluation ladder. It does not necessarily give you the ladder or give you the ability to grow or take up the ladder moving forward. But I always tell people, and this is a good platform, if you want to become a specialist in an area, dedicate 2 hours a day in that area. And within 1 year, you'll be a specialist. So whether it is a certification, whether it is you just researching online, whether it is you reading books, whether it is you attending a master's course or a bachelor's course, and you dedicate 2 hours on that thing every other day, you'll definitely become a specialist. So the 3 months of an M&E certification will allow you to grasp M&E concepts. But for you to be a specialist and to become an expert in that field, dedicate at least 2 hours every day, whether it is in your own personal level, just studying out of curiosity, accessing resources, reaching out to people like me who are in the space to be able to guide you, but at least you're spending 2 hours a day on that area in terms of M&E, you'll become a specialist. And I always say monitoring evaluation is like an ocean. An ocean means you can swim at the shore and just be an expert swimmer at the shore. But you can also take a bolder step and say, I want to go beyond the shore and do a bit of deep sea diving. And then you can start diving at the deep sea. Or you can even decide to be doing snorkeling, where you now even go deeper, put on those goggles plus that air process, the air tool that you carry, and then you do snorkeling at the deep of the sea, where you even swim with whales and other fish. It's also an area of swimming. And then you can even do deep sea diving that is much more deeper in much more deeper surfaces of the ocean. The idea will be you can never swim until you hit the shore. So first hit the shore, start with the certificate, but dedicate significant time, at least 2 hours a day, every other weekday, from Monday to Friday, and you'll become an expert. And soon you'll be coming to speak about these aspects. On my personal level, I dedicate more than 2 days. And you can hear now I'm doing my PhD in the same area. It means I'm dedicating almost my entire career to the same aspects, making me a specialist and expert in this space. But of course, I started from somewhere. No one was born in an office. We all learn as we enter the office. So even if you want to start M&E today, start with that certificate, but build 2 hours to grow your area, to grow your specialization, and then interact with people, engage with other experts, and then overall you'll get the opportunity to begin practicing, because the best lessons in M&E are in practice, not just in the theory, but in the practice of it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As we run towards the end, there is we can just have this one more. What do you consider, and what do you consider? This is the last one we want to handle. What do you consider an effective M&E system? That is from Pius Nunda.
Yeah. Absolutely. An effective M&E system must have 3 dimensions, Pius. It must be focused on results. And in terms of focus on results, It must have the system quality that allows it to be able to build informed decisions. So a good M&E system will be known if, one, it allows you to be able to improve policy and design of projects. If you're able to design projects effectively based on data, you are beginning the process of designing an M&E system. Besides that, if the M&E systems allows you to make operational decisions, tactical decisions, and strategic decisions at the time at which you require data from them, it's another step to designing an M&E system. It's a measure of knowing you have an M&E system. But the other key thing is that an M&E system should be able to help you get information to improve your capability to advance your goals. So if you can be able to use the data and the information from the M&E system to adapt and to achieve your goals, then you're driving towards M&E. And so within that, the three M&E practices I spoke about are core in an effective M&E system. A results-based M&E system that focuses on results and then you build backwards. An evidence-based decision-making process that allows you to be able to collect data, use data, and account for that data without having biased information. So designing a system that allows you to be able to make decisions based on evidence is another key component. But of course, the final one is allowing you to be able to learn from what is working, what is not working. Knowledge and information management is another key component of an effective M&E system. But of course, this is just a scratch. Results-based management can be another one whole course. Evidence-based decision-making can be another whole course. Knowledge information management is an entire master's discipline right now, but I've just given you the tips to it.
I can't listen to this enough. I would have loved to take a whole day into this. I love learning. I'm very excited about this, and thank you. I'd like to welcome Edna to give us an official vote of thanks on behalf of Power Monday and Live Your Dream.
Yes, good morning, Rohin. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy and glad listening to you because I think you have a wealth of wisdom that you have just scratched the surface, as you've mentioned, trying to share with us. We thank you very, very much because we know that it was within a very short notice and you've been able to heed our call and you are here and you've shared with us. What I've loved is being able to bring us all along. Some of us are in business, some of us are professionals, and we've been able to see how this can be made practical in our lives, even in just our personal lives, not just work life. The content is very rich, very insightful, and we want to believe that we will be getting another opportunity with you to just get into the other aspects, like the tools, how do we start small? How do we actually do it? Who is there to help us? The other reason why I'm thanking you is because now I know an expert in M&E, and I have just grown my network, and I believe the people who are here have also done that as well. So for us is to thank you very much, and also to just request on behalf of the team that when we call upon you again, you'll be able to come again and now take us slowly by slowly. Maybe we can do a topic every quarter so that we can be experts and so that we don't just come up with resolutions that we never do anything about, even in our personal lives. Yeah, so may God bless you, and I believe we'll continue interacting and learning from one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edna, for that. And indeed, we will wish to have him more and more so that we continue to learn, not to be in the field, but to be able to run our businesses better. I'd like to welcome as we close. Okay, we have a certificate for you, Rohin, which we're going to share with you at the end.